Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Capcan and this is my basic guide for farming legions in 3.24 Necropolis League in Path of Exile. So there were quite a lot changes to Atlas talent tree, to how Scarabs work, and to how we don't really have Sextants now. And we do have a lot of different changes to the Atlas tree itself, with some big nodes being removed and all that stuff. So I'll try to basically run through all that stuff, but first we need to talk a little bit about the Legion mechanic itself for anyone who doesn't know how that one works. So basically Legion is this one tower that you're activating. You're killing all the monsters the first time, you're activating them, and then you're killing them whenever they really spawn, and that's how you reap all your rewards. Then you have some chests there that can drop quite good amounts of currency, splinters, and all that good stuff as well. This is basically Legion farming in your maps, so it's not about Legion 5 ways, it's not about Legion big farming of the Legion itself, it's those small legions in your maps, and this is was and is still quite a big farming strategy in Path of Exile. It is one of the most rewarding mechanics in the game. It gives you a lot of raw currency, it gives you things like incubators to sell and things as the incubators to use to increase all the drops of stacked decks or currency or other good stuff. Then it gives you timeless emblems or timeless splinters that then convert into emblems, and you can sell them to people who run 5 ways and in general who run big Legion content. And yeah, so these are the main reasons why you want to run it. Just in general, legions are quite high dense mechanic, which means that there are many mobs, there are many rare mobs, and they drop different good stuff like divination cards from the map itself and just basic currency again. And if you're running maps that have those good divination cards, then it is just an additional amounts of mobs that you can kill and that you can find some good divination cards from and then sell them. So it is quite easy in general. The one somewhat of a problem with it is that if you want to sell incubators in bulk, that you need to use some different places where you can do that. That is not always convenient. Otherwise than that, you will still have pretty high income, high steady income of currency, even at league start, even with smallest smallest investments into the mechanic. And now let's talk about changes to the Atlas tree. What do we have in 3.24? So mostly you can notice that we do have way higher chances to spawn things just in general for all the mechanics. That's because we do have our sextants being reworked and sextants being removed and scarabs being reworked. So you're now made to think a bit more about which scarabs do you want to use, because there are more of them, as you can see here. As our sextants and compasses are getting removed, we do have more interesting outcomes on scarabs, and you can combine them with some specific. For example, you will probably want to run Sulfite, which will already get at least one place in your map device, which means that you can run less Legion particular scarabs, but they may be quite juicy and good, especially the rarer ones. So there is always this opportunity cost to it, and for Legions specifically, increased chances to contain a Legion encounter are great, because you can encounter multiple Legions in your map, and so that chance can go over 100%. And it's not like with Expedition, for example, where it is more like binary. You either do have an expedition and it is capped by one. You can only have one expedition present, or you don't have. And here you can have 2, 3, whatever the number of monoliths, and this will simply multiply all your other investments into that map. If you're going with some additional juice, with some delirium, there are multiple ways for you to increase your incomes from juicing the map, and this is quite particularly powerful part with Legion in general. So yeah, what we want to take with Legion is all chances, or at least all big nodes that give you chance to contain Legion encounter, because they will just add up one to another. Then we're going for Chain of Command, which makes your Legion encounters contain additional surgeons, rewards, and this protracted battle is quite powerful, especially early on. It gives your encounters more duration for you, in order for you to have all the time in the world to break all the guys first. And then they take increased damage, which yet again makes it easier. If you do have some troubles with it, then you can spec into this small node instead of this one, or into all of them, and this will increase the duration even more. But in general, after that, you're good with only this big talent, and you don't really need this small one. So then we're going for the types of Legion encounters that we encounter in our maps, and you want to prioritize Maraketh guys and Templar guys, because these emblems of different tribes of Legion have different values, and these are very great ones. Then we are for sure taking chance to convert all our splinters into timeless emblems, because you will not, if you are not taking this one, you will not have enough splinters in general. This conversion talent is one of the key ones in order for you to have some additional stream of revenue, some additional stream of income from the emblems as well. And then we're going for additional Warhorde, but we're not taking Face Off, the talent that gives us an additional general, because generals are the most value from generals are splinters that can convert into emblems, but they were quite cheap in recent leagues because many people farm Legion, and they take quite high time to kill generals, especially some particular generals, and you don't really want to spawn more of them, because it will not gain you as much of back rewards. And then we are going for some additional rewards for our chests in Legions, and Legion monsters have yet again additional rewards. They are a bit more dangerous, but still this one is very worth taking. Now, if we're talking about this tree that I will link in comment there's going to be a link on PoE Planner. What we're taking quite often with Legions are, of course, we're taking all the additional map tier increases that are quite close to our location. We are taking shrines, or at least you can take shrines, and you will reap benefits of them, because you will kill everything faster. You will have some additional bonuses, and there may be a very powerful additional reward bonuses as well. But just in general, shrines are here to help us kill everything faster, smoother, and better. Then we are blocking some particular league mechanics that are very interruptive of Legions and that we don't want to see. Some of them that are not as interruptive or just additional content as Delirium, we are not getting rid of. And we are going for some small 5 talent investment into Sulfite and into Nico. This one in particular gives you a lot of damage, movement speed, and all resistances whenever you're using Sulfite Vein. And you want to do that before you're interacting with Legion, of course, because you want to be as buffed as possible. This will help you, and this will smooth the runs in general. Either you're very powerful already, or you're just starting in your maps. And then we're taking this node, Sulfite Veins and chests in your maps have 10% chance to also contain an equal amount of Azurite that you can then buy some resonators from Nico. But this one in particular, it is more if you are going to use Sulfite Scarabs, for example, and we still don't really know which Scarabs do we have in general that are tied to Legion, for example. So there may be so good Legion Scarabs or so good Divination Scarabs that you just don't have any place in your map device. That means that you will probably skip Sulfite and you will not take these 5 talents. Because you will just not have any place to put that Sulfite Scarab. But if you do have that place, and if they are cheap enough, then these 5 talents are cool. Especially like these 2 are almost I'd say kind of mandatory for you to be way faster, and these 3 are just additional something on top. Now, what you can slap on top, because we do have enough points. We are not combining legions as much with other mechanics like we do, for example, with expedition that leave us with a lot of points. Legion are quite point hungry mechanic, which means that we don't really have enough spare space in our Atlas talent tree. But what we do have space for are, of course, either Exarch or Eater of Worlds. Most likely you're going to be using Exarch, as it gives you better base rewards. So we are taking increases to pack size, we are taking Word of Exarch, you're taking Wrath of the Cosmos whenever your character is ready for it. Here we do have no longer any talents for additional for the Uber Exarch, and we do have new talents, at least if I remember it correctly, that give us increased pack size of Searing Exarch minions, and these are pretty powerful, these are pretty good, you probably want to take them. And then there's this small Baptized by Fire, which, it's just 1 point, and you don't need to spend any traveling points, because these nodes are good by themselves, which, you may want to take. And then you can disagree with it. We don't know how powerful and good Scarabs are going to be in this league. I included Scarabs, at least some talent points with Scarabs that are quite close to us in here. It's not a lot talents, and you can sparely just spend them here. So here we do have increases chances to found Scarabs. Here we do have Scarabs found in our maps are more likely to be less common varieties, and this should be very powerful, as some variations of our sextants are going to be transferred to Scarabs, and those Scarabs may be worth quite a lot. And with in general, because Scarabs can drop from any mobs, they should have a chance dropping from Legion, and Legion have quite high density, which means that this, in general, ramping the quantity and quality of Scarabs may be a good tactic in here, but we don't know for sure now. But you can spec into all the Scarabs points later on, first prioritizing, of course, the Legion, maybe Shrines, and whenever it's day 2 or 3 of the league, we already know all the data, all the prices on Scarabs, and then you can make this decision. And then there's this here, Amplified Artifacts. Rare monsters in your maps have increased chance to drop Scarabs per monster modifier affecting them. And this is pretty good for Legions, because there are quite a lot of rare mobs in them. It's gonna be good for Abyss, I guess, too. But for Legions, it's just additional, 5 points. Yet again, it's all if you want to do that. Now, there are some additional Scarab talents, but these are only for the mechanics that we don't really use, like Domination. For Shrines, you can use that for Domination Scarabs if there are good Shrine Scarabs, but otherwise it's just like Herbinger. All the leagues that you don't really have high enough talents to have increased chance, so all the additional ones like Rogue Exiles and stuff like that. So there is no Legion Scarab drop rates increases in talents in here in center. That's why it's not as convenient as it could have been. So now about the changes to the talent tree. We don't have 7th gate. We still do have bold undertakings. Fortune favors the brave, applies an additional random option. We do have all the crafting. So basically, you can slap any league mechanic on top from Kirak crafting options in this league. They are all available, at least as I know. So that's why we don't have 7th gate, because many people were taking them, and they just removed that mechanic and made it available for everyone all the time. So you don't need 7th gate, you don't need to spec into cryptic gateways and stuff like that. Then you can, depending on your position and on your playstyle, on your investment level, you can go for singular focus, which increases chance for your maps to be favored if you're farming specific maps like Dunes that are very good for Legions, for example, because you need these big open layouts for Legion preferably. Then you may want to go for singular focus. It depends though on if you're very early in the game and you still don't have enough favored slots, you are using multiple maps and you're progressing through maps and you want to have drops of different maps in general because you're just selling them, you may cut some of your income by removing all non-favorite maps and converting them into basic currency items, because this way you will lose some portion of currency that you could have been getting. So that's why I've removed it for now, but then you should know that you are quite interested in taking singular focus in general. Yeah, now this is it with the talent tree, and then what did we have as our previous scarabs, which may not be the case what we will have in the 3.24. So we did have, just in general, the rusted just gives us a legion encounter, and that was quite it wasn't really good for you to take this one, even if you're at low spending budget. Then polished ones were pretty good. Each legion contains additional warhorde. Gilded gain you a general, which is, it's not that good. And then legion, then winged was pretty good because it gave you 2 additional legion encounters with a general and 1 warhorde. But in general, generals are not very valuable, at least they weren't, because there is just a lot of emblems on the market. So gilded version that may be present in new scarabs, you're not really interested in, but gaining additional legion encounter is very good, but only, and it will probably cost a lot of money, but you want this only if you're juicing very high. So the equivalent of polished legion scarab that gives you a legion encounter and a warhorde is the best for you, and in general it's one of the most like price good in terms of ratios of price for the scarabs and for the outcome that it may give you. Now, when it comes to our incubators, you're mostly interested in diviners incubators and ornate incubators. These are the ones that sell the most. There are some high item level Kalguran, Geomancer, foreboding, skittering ones. But these are, yeah, you need to use some other third-party services in order to sell them in bulk. They are not as good to sell just in general on trade in your regular tabs. But diviners and ornate ones are gonna sell quite easily and quite fast. And you for sure need to leave them present on your loot filters. All the other ones, it depends, and you may just want to filter them out if you don't want to mess with all the trading part of it. All the other things are quite easily traded. You don't really need any. You need very fast and fast clearing build in order to farm legions. If you are more single target or not really AoE oriented, you do have that type of a build, it may not be the best for you. So this is a basic thing. I may produce some additional videos if people will be interested in some particular ways of how to farm legions as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a good time. Bye.